Shalom, shalom. Hope you guys is having a blessed day. Man, today I'm coming straight up the middle because I consistently see, fellow brothers that are still in the city that are lost. They are amongst the people. They are recognizing problems, but the information, their study is not deep enough. So therefore they stay asleep. And I heard a man pretty much was talking about a brother talk about the Tunan community, and he looked like me and said, "We are the Gentiles." And when he was breaking down his understanding, I knew that he did not know the etymology. It was apparent of he didn't know the lineage biblically. He didn't know the etymology of the word. So you see the thumbnail, you see the title, and I'm here today to tell you that the history that our captors taught us in the public food system is not our history. The lack thereof history that they may teach you in the Sunday church is not our history. Is not our history. That's why I titled this "Come Out of Her, My People." When you look at replacement theology, which Christianity is, when you look at supersessionism, it is a unbiblical concept that the church has replaced Israel as far as the inheritance. And you can read from the front of the book to the back of the book that Israel has always been the Most High Yah's people. Okay, so I'll say this, and this is a question that's gonna take you down a rabbit hole. You can be one of these things if you look like me, and the choice is yours. Which road you go down, which title you stake claim to. Three of them will be deceptive. One of them will be true. Okay, are you? Do you want to be black? Do you want to be African American? Do you want to be a Jew? Or do you want to be an Israelite? Each one of them is going to take you down a whole nother path. And you better hope it's the right one. What do you have in life if you do not have the truth? Now, let me tell you something. You can say you're black. Nobody's going to come for you. They won't launch an all-out assault on you. You can say you're an African American. Nobody's coming for you. We gave you that. We gave you the title of black, of African American. You can even say you're a Jew if you look like me and partake in the Jewish religion. Nobody's going to come for you. But the minute you stand on business and stand on faith and be bold as a lion, like the word says, and say that you are an Israelite, be prepared. This is why we had several football players in the NFL at their Hall of Fame speech get up there and confess their Israelite heritage. People were offended. This is the reason why Kyrie Irving was blackballed by the people that say that they are the people the minute he raised his hands and said he was an Israelite or posted something insinuating that he was an Israelite. He could have got up there and said he was black, he was African American, he was Jewish. Nobody would have said nothing. They would have let him go on because it's all man-made titles and doctrines that they gave you. John chapter 8, verse 32, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Man, the truth comes at a price. For what I'm about to reveal in this walk that you must partake on if you are a seeker of the truth, I want you to know that Messiah said, you're not willing to hate your mother, your father, your wife, your children, even your own life, you're not worthy of being my disciple. You're not worthy of being a follower of me. So I want you to know You got some serious choices to make about your salvation, because all of the prophets, the apostles, the disciples, the Messiah, how did they die? They were persecuted for walking in truth. And if you want to walk in truth, the word says you will be persecuted for my name's sake. Some people will remain willfully ignorant, knowing the truth, willfully ignorant, because they don't want to face persecution. That job is worth more than their salvation. F it. Family, worth more than their salvation. F it. You got to be built for this. And if you don't have the true Ruach HaKodesh, you ain't going to make it. Hosea chapter 4, verse 6. My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge, because thou have rejected knowledge. I will also reject thee. Thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing that thou hast forgotten the law of thy Yah. I will also forget thy children. Think about that. You have forgotten the law of thy Yah. You got to think about, if you have been indoctrinated and conditioned by this system, you have been told that you are a Gentile if you look like me. And because of that, you go to the places of Sunday worship that teach everybody in the congregation is a Gentile, and the Gentiles, their teachings are that the law given to Israel is done away. Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 4. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. Who served the enemies in a land that's foreign to them? It says, for you have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever. Man, I recommend you read Deuteronomy 28. Read the whole thing. Read it front to back. Read it in multiple versions. I recommend you read in the book of Jeremiah, where the Most High divorces Israel. And if it wasn't for the Messiah, we would have no way to return home. Genesis chapter 9, verse 18. Now we're going to break this down, because the people that launch an all-out assault against you when you raise your hand and say, I'm an Israelite, I got a message for you. They're not even from a Semitic line. Why do I say that? Your pastor's not going to show you this. Genesis chapter 9, verse 18. And the sons of Noah that went forth of the ark were Shem and Ham and Japheth, and Ham is the father of Canaan. Genesis chapter 22. The children of Shem, Semites, Elam, Asher, and Arphaxad, and Lud, and Aram. Those are the children of Shem. Okay? From Shem, you have the Semites. The Semites are a Semitic people. People who spoke a Semitic language. Okay, let's break this down. What are Semitic languages? Semitic languages are a family consisting of dozens of distinct languages and modern day dialects, but the major Semitic languages are Arabic, Amharic, which is spoken in Ethiopia, Tigrinya, which is spoken in Ethiopia and Eritrea, Hebrew, Tigre, spoken in Sudan, Aramaic, spoken in Lebanon, Syria, Israel, Iraq, and Iran, and Maltese. When you look at the language of the Messiah wasn't this pale face that they paint him up, using the picture of Caesar Borgia. You look at the dialect that the Messiah spoke, Yahushua HaMashiach, he spoke Aramaic. The Messiah was from a Semitic people, okay? And this originates from the children of Shem, the Semites. Let's keep going. Genesis chapter 2, verse 6 through 8. And the sons of Ham, Cush, and Mizraim, and Phut, and Canaan. And the sons of Cush, Seba, and Havilah, and Sabbatai, and Ramah, and Sabbateca. And the sons of Ramah, Sheba, and Dedan. And Cush begot Nimrod. He began to be the mighty one on earth. Nimrod, when you look at the etymology of the name Nimrod, that name means rebel or rebellion. So when you look at who is the sun God, not the SU, not the SON of God, I'm talking about the SUN, the sun that shine bright. That's Nimrod. Who is Nimrod's son? Nimrod's son is Tammuz. So when you see the woman, you can Google woman weeping over Tammuz. This is when the prophets were being shown, or this is when the righteous were being shown the abominations being committed in the temple, because the elders were worshiping, holding their hands up, facing the sun in the sky, and the woman was weeping over Tammuz, which is idolatry. The name Nimrod. When you go, I challenge you to go back and look at the birthday of Nimrod, and you'll realize every time you keep that heathen holiday called Christmas, you're celebrating the birth of Nimrod, because not one pastor, theologian can point out a book, chapter, and verse where we're told to keep Christmas, told that it's the birth of the Messiah, and told on what day. Not one of them can do it. Genesis chapter 10, verse 2 through 5. The sons of Japheth, pay attention, Gomer and Magog and Madai and Javan and Tubal and Meshach and Tiras. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, Rephath, Togarmah. And the sons of Jovan, Elisha and Tarash and Katim and Dodamim. By these were the isles, by these were the dwellings, or the place of being, the isles of the Gentiles divided in their land, everyone after his tongue, after their family, in their nations. Now, when you look at the people that say they are the people, call themselves Jewish and Jews, they are descendants of Ashkenaz through Gomer. This is where you get the doggone term Ashkenazi Jew. This is why they launch and say, you're being anti-Semitic. They're not even from a Semitic line. You don't believe me? I'm giving you Bible. It says, by these were the isles of the Gentiles. These people that say that they are Jews, or they say that they are the people of the book, they are Gentiles. They're heathens. Romans chapter 2, verse 14. For the Gentiles, which have not the law, do by nature the things contained in the law. Israel was given the law. The disciples was told not to minister unto the Gentiles. This is why Paul, being a Gentile, is considered the minister to the Gentiles. The Most High Yah said, hey, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Told the disciples, you don't go unto the Gentiles. The Gentiles, the law of Exodus, of the first 5 books of the Bible, of Torah, of the Old Covenant, was not given to the Gentiles. For when the Gentiles, which not have the law, they do the things contained in the law. So when you look at homosexuality, when you look at idolatry, when you look at all of these heathen customs and holidays, that's the custom of the Gentiles. And it says, are a law unto themselves. Okay. What do Jewish people speak? Jewish people speak Yiddish. Yiddish is a language that combines several linguistic elements, including Germanic, German. Yiddish is primarily a Germanic language, which its roots in medieval spoken German and high Middle German dialects. The term Yiddish comes from the German word Jewish. The word Jewish is a German word. See, when you realize that these heathens hijacked our book, now you'll be getting the grease hot. Semitic. So they speak a dialect of Germanic, Semitic languages. Yiddish also contains Semitic elements, including post-classic Hebrew and Aramaic, which were brought to Europe from the Middle East by early settlers. So the Semitic mixture in their language, they didn't have originally. It was brought to them by the Middle Eastern. They learned it. So when you realize why the Jewish are infatuated with our talent, why they back a lot of the music industry, why they invented Hollywood and use us for entertainment, they use us for bread and circus. Go back and look at bread and circus, what that means. Keep the people entertained and keep them fed. And when you think about us, as long as we got some entertainment and some food, we are distracted. Okay, romance. Yiddish also includes some words from Romance language, Slavic. Yiddish acquired Slavic elements after Jews settled in Eastern Europe, okay, in the late Middle Ages. Yiddish is usually written in Hebrew characters. It originated in the early 13th century when Jews in Germany were allowed. You got to understand the reason I took you through the sons of Noah and the grandsons of Noah, so you could understand biblically where the Most High Yah says the different sons of Noah and their sons went to dwell. So the Ashkenazi Jew, when you look at that, you know, they dwell in Europe. You see what I'm saying? And you look at a European people, this will lead you into the Balfour Agreement of how you had these people that are dwelling in the land today occupied the land after we were taken captive and forced into slavery. And now they can say that we are Israeli. There's a difference between an Israelite and an Israeli. Okay. 13th century, when Jews in Germany were allowed to live in ghettos. See, when I lived in Germany, I learned the origin of the word ghetto. I said, man, but they've been walking around calling us this when it originates from them, and fled to Poland to practice their religion more freely. Yiddish spread to almost all of Eastern Europe, where it was spoken by the Ashkenazi for over 1,000 years and still to this day. Okay, according to the Bible, a Hebrew book, Ashkenaz was a descendant of Noah's son Japheth and a Japhetic patriarch. The term Ashkenaz referred to the descendants of Ashkenaz who lived in many areas, including France and Central Eastern Europe. This includes Germany, Poland, Russia. Ashkenaz people have deep roots in these regions and primarily settled in the northeastern France and western Germany around 2,000 years ago. These timelines are very critical. Northern Italy. This area also included the term Ashkenaz. Parts of Central Europe. This includes Bohemia. Eastern Europe. This includes those who migrated into Polish Lithuania Commonwealth. I have had the pleasure of stepping foot into some of these countries. And you know what? You're not going to see an Israelite Hebraic people. You are going to see a Gentile. You are going to see heathens, okay? In the rabbinic literature, the descendants of Ashkenaz were first associated with Scythian cultures, then Slavic territories from the 11th century onwards with Germany and Northern Europe. So here's why I said, you can choose to be black, you can choose to be African American, you can even claim the title of Jew. But the minute you raise your hand and say that you are an Israelite, these people that call themselves the people will launch an all-out assault on you. Now, if you choose to be called black, I want you to understand the concept of race in America was developed in the 1500s by Europeans. They gave you your doggone history to justify the economic system of capitalism, which relied on forced labor. So they told you you were black. You didn't come over here as black. Let's keep going. The term African American. So you like, okay, I don't want to be black. That's only 1,500. I want to be African American. The term African American first appeared in print in 1782 in anti-British sermon by anonymous author who identified themselves as African Americans on the title page. See, these is people along the way that's been trying to figure out. Titled A Sermon on the Capture of the Lord Cornwallis, was acquired by Harvard Library in 1884. However, the term was not popular and didn't gain prominence until the 1980s when the civil rights activist Jesse Jackson pushed for its use as an alternative to black. In 1988, Jackson announced at the news conference in Chicago that black people preferred to be called African American because it has cultural integrity. This stuff is not that old and puts us in our proper historical text. That doesn't put us in our proper biblical text, because these are titles that, you not knowing your history, you come here saying, okay, I'm African, and then I'm dwelling in America, so I'm African American. Everybody, so you don't hear the people from the Caucasus Mountains saying, the Caucasian people or the white people saying, I'm European American, I'm German American. No, they gave you these titles. Okay. Deuteronomy 28:37. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee. An astonishment. The etymology is Hebrew word 8047. It means a wasteful thing. A proverb, a sententious saying, proverbial saying, a proverb. Okay. The word sententious is an adjective, a descriptive term given to moralizing in a pompous or affected manner. A proverbial, a word or phrase referred to as an idiom. The word idiom stems from the Greek word idoma, a byword. You got to think, we walk around calling ourselves the byword because we don't know our history. And that word, I want you to know, you got to look deep into this stuff. A byword is a word that taunts, a sharp saying or pointed saying. So you have to think a lot about these race wars and what they were calling you. They could say one thing and get you to unhinge from your character because you don't know who you are. They've known the whole time. There's videos out there showing you this. Okay. Israelite, noun, a member of the ancient Hebrew nation, especially in the period from Exodus to the Babylon captivity. Okay. Hellenistic, you have the so-called black and African American people of this country today. They're what you call Hellenistic. It means they live their life according to or relating to Greek history. This is why we walk around lost talking about our zodiac signs, and that stuff is of Greek culture and of Greek mythology. Okay, the people that walk around calling themselves black and African Americans today, what do they keep? They keep Greek culture, Greek traditions, Greek customs, and their way of thinking is Greek. Is Greek. We don't go to the Bible to get our history. We go to these colleges that, when you look at where the origins of college stem from, this stems from the doggone Greeks. Okay, what is the old definition of Jew? Because you read in the front of the book, you read, okay, the tribe of Judah. If you look at the etymology of that, it's the tribe of Yahudah. And then when you get to a certain part of the book, and the word of the Most High Yah reveals that the penmanship of the scribes, the translators, is in vain. So they took Yahudah through Jahudah to Jehudah through Jew. And you end up starting with a tribe. The letter J is less than 1,000 years old. These Gentiles gave the Messiah a Latin first name, Jesus, and a Greek last name, Christ, when he's not of Greek origins. See, the problem is, man, you let your capturers tell you your history. This is why this cuts deep. This is why this is surgical. Originally in ancient times, Yahudah was used to describe the inhabitants of the Israelite kingdom of Judah. It also used to distinguish their descendants from the Gentiles and the Samaritans. The Most High Yah did not want the Israelites following the way of the Gentiles. This is why when you look at that passage that tells you to not keep doggone Christmas, not keep that holiday, follow not the way of the Gentiles. For the customs of the people are vain. For they cutteth the tree out of the forest, the workmen of the axe. They nail it down so that it move not. They deck it with silver and gold. Those are heathen customs, Gentile customs. The Most High Yah wanted a clear separation. And matter of fact, he said, come out from among them and be ye separate. Take not part in her plagues and her sins. Okay? Revelations 2:9. I know thy works and thy tribulations and thy poverty, but you are rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. So when you look at the people today, who's in wealth? The African Americans, the blacks, or the Jews? And the minute you speak on this, that's when they launch that assault, coming out the woodworks. You're like, where these people come from? Why are they paying attention to this? They've always been tuned into what we do. They profit off the backs of the Israelites. This is why when you look at sports and you see the combine, it ain't nothing more than the doggone the blocks of where they sold slavery. Dance for us. Show us what you can be profitable. That's all it is. Which of Noah's sons became Israel? Shem's descendants. When you look in Genesis chapter 10, verses 21 through 30, gives one list of descendants of Shem. In chapter 11, verses 10 through 26, a second list of descendants of Shem names Abraham and thus the Arabs and the Israelites. How is Abraham related to Noah? We first meet Abraham in Genesis 11. Abraham, a descendant of Noah through the son Shem, lived with his family in the city of Ur and Chaldea, today's Iraq, having left Ur with his father, Terah, his wife, Sarah, and his nephew, Lot. Abraham stayed for a time in Haran, where Terah died. When you got to look at why Black and African Americans have the worst divorce rate and some of the statistics, it's because we're not following the laws of the Most High Yah. It's because we need to return to the covenant. When you look at like I said, divorce and marriage and why we have so much dysfunction, we don't model after the descendants of Shem, after the sons and grandsons of Noah. Because you know what? Sarah honored Abraham by calling him master. That's how she showed her submission. See, if you live like these Gentiles, you're going to want to be getting gang banged. You're going to want to have orgies. You're going to want to be homosexual. You want to have all these different kind of sexual immorality because the law in Exodus chapter 20, the commandments was not given to them. The Torah was not given to them. The Most High Yah told those of Israelite descent, the disciples, you do not go minister unto the Gentiles. Let me pull this up while I cook. We'll get the grease hot. Let me pull this up. So in Matthew chapter 10, verse 5 through 6, these 12 Messiah sent forth, Yahshua sent forth and commanded them, saying, go not into the way of the Gentiles and into the city of the Samaritans, enter you not, but go you rather to the lost sheep of house of Israel. Who is the lost sheep? The house of Israel. Your main mistake, when you hear these people, if you've ever heard somebody say, don't get mad, man, you got the heathen worshiping your God. They're talking about the Tunan community trying to live the Torah while violating. The word says that the Most High Yah offered salvation to the Gentiles to make Israel jealous. Fact check everything I'm saying. Go back and Bible that. And he also tells the doggone heathens, the Gentiles, don't exalt yourself over Israel because they are a natural branch. And the Gentiles are not a natural branch. See, you let these heathens tell you that you got to go to church. You ain't got to go to church. There ain't no commandment to go to church. Matter of fact, the church, the etymology of the word church, on this rock I will build my church. The church means ecclesia. The ecclesia, the etymology of that is the congregation of Israelites. See, the Most High Yah told you he does not dwell in temples made by the hands of man. This is why he's very pertinent and firm on not defiling your temple, because your body is a temple. And he tells you that you are the temple of the living Elohim. You can read about these abominations that the heathens and the Gentiles was committing in these temples. Telling you, man, return to the covenant. Come out from among them. We got favor and mercy in the house. Thank you for your support. It says, thank you for always speaking the truth. Because we have some brothers and sisters out there that they're experiencing what they call woke, but it's still a form of carnal wisdom. You're still biting the bait, taking the bait, hook, line, and sinkers that the heathens throw at you. When you let somebody hijack your book and tell you, you got to think in our history books, they 1 month, they get 1 month of telling you your history, Black History Month. And half that stuff is not even accurate. It's not even accurate. They don't talk about how many inventions that were created by Israelites that these heathens hijacked. They don't tell you that. There's so many. When you go down this rabbit hole and you look at it, now let me ask you this. When you go down that rabbit hole, this is why you better be prepared to lose it all. People say, man, how are you a couple years out from retirement and speaking so boldly? Why? Because I don't give a dang. If it's the Most High's will, it's his will. But people gonna get this truth. All of the prophets, all of the disciples, these was warriors. They stood on business. They stood 10 toes down. And you think you're going to get to the kingdom without standing 10 toes down? You're going to have to stand on it. And I want you to know, man, when you return to the covenant and keep his laws, statutes, and commandments, that's when people persecute you. People don't have no problem if you being lawless, double-minded, reprobate, keeping all these idolatrous holidays. They don't mind. But the minute you start speaking truth and living in truth, you're going to find out that many were offended. And the Messiah was going in these temples of the heathens. He was going in there ministering to the lost sheep. Some of them Hellenistic. Some of them received the truth. They got so pissed at the truth Messiah was walking in, and they was gnashing their teeth. And the word says he did not heal many of them because of their unbelief. They were offended. See, when you start reading about the Messiah, Yahushua HaMashiach of the book, you're going to start realizing that, okay, if you following the book, these churches is following the book, why you got somebody working in the bookstore if you're not supposed to cause anybody to work on the Sabbath? Why are you in there selling Starbucks and coffee in there, making money? Why do you have the people eating food sacrificed to idols? This is because the Gentiles, they don't have the law. The law wasn't given to them. And this is when Paul was saying, let no one judge you. Paul was talking to the heathens. Hey, don't let nobody judge you or criticize you, call you a byword, make fun of you for keeping the ways of the Most High Yah. When you're reading about Paul, you're reading letters. You're not reading law. This is why Black people, African Americans that believe they're Gentiles, they believe the old is done away with and they're following a Roman citizen. Paul was a Roman citizen. The law was not given to Paul. The law was given to Moses. The law was given to the Israelites. These people will have you following a lawless, vain culture. And that's when you think about it, I want you to think about all these people that's lost. The word says only a remnant will be saved. Let me pull this up. Okay. This is why all of these people that's going to these replacement theology, Sunday, sun worshiping church, when you think about Sunday, that's related to another deity. The Pope told you that the Pope is the one that changed the Sabbath. You can go back and look this stuff up. Sunday is related to a deity. Okay. So all of these people that's going to Sunday sun worship, be prepared for this. Matthew chapter 7, verse 21 through 23. Not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. When did the will of the Father start? Did the will of the Father start from what you've been told is the new covenant? Or did it start in the Old Testament? Was Moses not counted as righteous? Was Abraham not counted as righteous? If you can't teach salvation from the doggone Old Testament, your Christian pastor ain't worth a dang. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in that name? And in that name cast out devils? And in that name done many wonderful works? And then I will profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you that work iniquity, lawlessness. That's the etymology of the word iniquity. This is why when you see these pastors in Christianity, in Catholicism, touching kids and all of this perverted and sexual immorality, you see all these transformers in the church, you see all these abominations committed in the temple. It doesn't surprise me because they were told this in the book. They were shown the abominations committed in the temple, told not to follow them. The book tells you that they will. Let's keep. We own one. Let's go to. If you don't believe, see, all of this is. I encourage you. Your church, Sunday church, probably teaches you from the KJV, the 66 books, and they're not going to tell you that the original King James version, that really has a lot of history, and it had 80 books, the 1611 version. The book that they use today is the revised version that was revised in 1884, 1885. I want you to go back and read First Maccabees. Google it. First Maccabees chapter 1. And you're going to realize how many Israelites cowered it down instead of standing on business, and they consented to the vain religion of the heathens. They consented. So when you heard the term, they was called Christians at Antioch first, that's tied to King Antiochus. Go back and read Maccabee. I'm telling you, like this truth, I could lose it all and be homeless. I wouldn't give a dang, but we're going to be standing on business. Daniel chapter 7, verse 25. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time, and the times, and the dividing of times. It's telling you that they changed times and laws. This is why I say marriage licenses are unbiblical. Look at the modern day marriage. Marriage licenses was nothing more than it came about to stop Israelites from marrying Gentiles or the so-called whites and the blacks. That's where the marriage license existed. This is the reason why the heathens don't have no problem allowing two men to go get a marriage license, two women to go get a marriage license. The Most High Yah in his word told our people not to cut a covenant with the inhabitants of the land. Come out of her, my people. Be not partakers of her sin or her plagues. Closer to Yah ministry. Kicking that thing gun barrel straight.